It's time to build some habitat with logging. All right, guys, so I want to make this video as short and sweet, as to the point as I can, but it is going to have a lot of information on it, and it is probably going to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to go to a couple different spots on the property here that we are logging, show you how we're logging those areas and why we are logging those areas the way we are. And I'm going to talk about the benefits that there is with logging. So you guys can see right here, this is a candy shop. If you go back to our videos years ago, when I first got this place, I think after a year or two of owning it, I came in, I did a very select cut logging in this area on the property where you hardly could tell that I even logged it. But that got me enough money to clear this food plot. Now that's the thing that a lot of people overlook when they're going in and managing these properties. They feel like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do my own TSI, I'm gonna do my own hinge cutting, whatever it is it might be, and you're thinking, you know, to get a logger in here, it's just going to do too much destructive damage. Well, do your research. Get out there and find a logger that's going to work with you and that's got a good reputation. But get a logger out there, walk through the property, let them see the property, let them tell you what they're going to do to it, kind of see some of their properties that they've worked on, and you can find somebody out there. Now, I've got Young Logging out here, and they do a phenomenal job. I've seen some of the work that they've done. The cool thing about them is they really sell to a variety of people. So we've got the logs that are going to be our saw logs, but also the thing that's most beneficial to me is that they're actually taking logs out of here that they're selling per ton for firewood. And I'm going to show you why that's such a big deal on this property. Come in, you're going to get some money, some cash flow coming in that can help go right back in the property. That's what I've always done with the logging that I've done on my property. It always goes directly back in. It's allowed this candy shop to be built. It's allowed the pond to be built on the front and some of the extra clearing to be done on the front end of the property. That just allows those funds to come out of the property instead of coming out of my own personal pocket. And at the same time, it benefits the land so much if you do it correctly. All right, so where I'm going right now is I'm actually walking right beside the candy shop. Now, I'm pretty selective on the larger trees that are up close to some of these clearings or the food plots, leaving them and leaving groups of them. So I do have areas that I can come in, I can put a tree stand, I can be hidden enough when I am bow hunting or whatever, and they're right up against these food plots. But as you can tell, we have gotten pretty aggressive in cutting a lot of these out. We're literally trying to open up our canopy big time. So I guess we're reducing it down from 100% full canopy down to, you know, maybe 40% or below. Really trying to get that tree savanna kind of look. Trying to promote as much undergrowth as possible. Grasses, forbs, saplings. And the reason why is especially when you don't have a lot of property, you've got to have this structure. You've got to have these areas where the deer are going to want to go bed and they're going to want to stay, and they've got browse, and they're going to do that right up against the side of these food plots. We're going to come back in after he's done in here and follow up with the prescribed burn in here. The nice thing about logging is, let me go in here and show you. If I were to come in here right now and do a select cut by myself, just do a little bit of TSI, you can see there's some pretty large trees in here that I would have to lay down to open up the canopy. That's a lot of money literally laying on the ground. And I've been doing that. I've been doing that at the front of the property. And that's not the greatest thing to do if you have an opportunity to partner with a logger like this. When you lay down too many trees like that, it just creates too much debris and brush. I can tell you that the turkeys don't like walking through it because there's really no easy path. It's just a destruction zone. You can come through and start prescribed burning it, and there's still a lot of debris, and I'm going to show you that on the front of the property. But by coming in here, he's knocked down these trees, really has opened up the canopy drastically, and has taken out the bulk of the tree in itself. There's really not even going to be any hot spots coming through and burning this right now, because I've told them don't pile it up, just leave it lay. That way it's spread out in here and you don't have those hot zones that's going to kill any of your trees that you're leaving. So we'll come through and prescribe burn this. It will burn right through these tops. And it will burn a lot of the smaller branches on it, and then, you know, maybe probably 2 seasons from now, come back through again and follow up and burn it there. So, but we're doing this all along this hillside. We're doing a pretty aggressive cut on the majority of the property because I'm really trying to get to that tree, savanna, landscape on my entire piece of property, just because I want to have the most bang for my buck on a small piece like this. So if I can have these scattered trees that we're leaving a lot, if we are leaving trees in here, it's majority are white oak, but we are leaving some red oak, but taking out most, if not all, the hickory that we can, but really just trying to create that spot that the deer and turkey are gonna hang out in all day long. I could just see this thing within 2 years from now, a lot of grasses, a lot of forbs, a lot of bedding in here. They're going to be staying in here, they're going to browse. And then we've got these white oaks scattered right here that are going to be dropping during that prime time of the season, that they're just going to hang out here even more. So it's not just to make it where it's easy for me to hunt. I mean, there are benefits of what we're doing to make it easier to hunt, but at the same time, I'm creating this hot spot on my property compared to any of the properties around me, where I'm going to hold the deer a lot longer and try to keep them off of the other people's properties, try to get some age on them. Plus, I just like seeing the deer and the turkey numbers grow. So look at that. That's looking really, really good. This clover plot right here in the candy shop is bomb. Like, it's doing exceptional. There's nothing but rock. Like, if you look underneath this clover, that's what it looks like right there. It looks like creek gravel. On this side, this is where I'd come through in the last 2 years, and I've started doing my own TSI. You can see the scattered trees. It's really opened up the canopy, but the difference in this area, let me show you here, is when I come in here, there is a lot of trees down in here, but you can tell there's a lot of debris in here. It's literally a debris field. You can tell after a few seasons, it is now starting to decompose a little bit. The branches are getting really brittle. Even some of the bases and trunks here are really starting to get soft. And we're going to be prescribed burning this here actually pretty soon. But you can just tell that this is not something that the turkeys are going to want to walk through. It gets super thick as you go up here. It's just a great spot for predators like bobcats and coyotes and everything else to ambush their prey, especially turkeys. Now, you will see turkeys coming in from this open field area into the open area right up here up top, because you can tell the trees are kind of falling downhill, so there's this area that they like to get into. This is the difference between this side and the other side. On the other side, where the loggers are coming in, this whole section is not here of this tree. We just got a little bit of a treetop. Same with all these. You know, we're taking 30 or 40 feet of these trees and leaving, you know, 10 to 15 feet of the treetops, which actually burn really, really good. But there is a lot of benefits. You can tell they're starting to get grasses and forbs and briars and blueberry bushes and everything coming up in here really, really well. Deer like to spend time in here. All these saplings that are popping up. You got these sassafras. A lot of buds on them that the deer are loving to eat. Everything, their whole kitchen table is right at browse level for them. Now let me tell you about one of the biggest benefits of having loggers on your property, especially if you have property like mine. It's in hill country, it's rough terrain, it's untouched. It's not been accessible until now. So a lot of these loggers are going to come in with a skid loader, and they have means to push roads and to clear roads. Some of them even partner or have dozers that come in and they cut roads beforehand. If you sit down with them before they start on your property, you can go, hey, I would like to have access roads down here that allow you to get logs down in there, and you can really develop these roads where you want them to be. Now on this property, it's really hilly. We now have roads that go down to about every single draw, which is great because that's where every deer wants to run when you shoot a deer, is to the bottom of a holler. We have all these roads on the ridge top. Literally almost anywhere on the property, you shoot a deer, it runs off, it's going to get you pretty close in the vicinity of that deer. We can load it up and drag it out with an ATV or a truck. Now, what am I going to do with these roads? These roads are pretty open. We're really opening up the canopy above. And so there is going to be quite a bit of sunlight that's going to be allowed to come down to these roads. And these roads are pretty wide. You know, they're 10 foot wide, sometimes 12 foot wide in some of these cases. I probably will come through with some seed. I don't know if I'm going to come through with some clover or do something that's going to be quick growing and kind of help keep soil erosion from happening, such as like buckwheat or something like that. But I will be coming through here and planting these roads. Now, will all of them take right off the bat? They probably will, but will they hold as we get into like the summer months and these stressful months with all these trees and these root zones coming into them? Probably not. Some of them will, and you know, that's what it is. But I could just see some of these roads, especially this one coming in right here to the candy shop, being planted in clover, because I know it's gonna hold really well in this area. But I could see the turkeys just strutting their way right down this road as they come in right here to the candy shop plot. All right, so let's answer the question that I know everybody's gonna ask. Am I gonna get rich doing this? Can you? Yeah, possibly, if you're one of those lucky people that have the perfect property of old growth timber and it's all walnut. Yeah, you can probably make a good little penny at it and benefit your wildlife at the same time by coming in and eliminating that tree canopy. But in reality, overall, probably not, especially if you're someone like me that doesn't have a lot of money. You aren't going to come in and buy the best piece of land because you don't have the funds to do that. You've got to start with what there is and build it into something special, just like I've done here on the hunting grounds over the last 6 years or so. It's really turned into a special spot that you can come deer hunt, you can come turkey hunt, you can take kids to, and you're going to see deer, you're going to harvest deer, and you're going to have a really fun hunt. Now, what are you going to make on something like this? The nice thing about the guys with Young Logging is they do have connections with a guy that buys firewood. So a lot of this wood that a lot of loggers wouldn't even come in and cut, they can cut them out and they can open up my canopy. At the same time, if they're easy enough to pull up, they pull them up. We get loads of those going to the firewood guy, which is awesome because that gets those trees out of here instead of literally cutting trees and leaving money lay on the ground. I've been doing that over the last few years. I've been laying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on the ground because it does benefit the wildlife, but at the same time, that's wasting away a lot of money that I could put right back into the property. Now with the saw logs, we aren't getting a ton of saw logs on this place, especially on this back end. The front end, yeah, we're gonna get some valuable saw logs out of there. Back here, there's really not that kind of value in it. Now, I'm also not coming in and I'm not just clear cutting this property. We are doing a select cut. They're to the understanding of exactly what I want in the tree savanna. He's doing a great job of leaving the trees that I would suggest to leave, and it's going to help this property out in a major, major way. Now, on average, I just got my first check today, so I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I'm getting off this property because it's going right back into the property. We've had 3 loads, I think, of firewood and then 1 load of saw logs. I got a check today around $1,400. To a lot of you, that's not a lot. To me, that's a lot of money that I can put right back into this property instead of laying $1,400 worth of timber on the ground and letting it rot away. Now, there was more money than that laying there because you think about the guys cutting the logs, the guys that got to haul the logs, the fuel costs and everything. Yeah, so you can multiply that probably by 3 at least and know that that value is laying down there when you're cutting your trees. So by having partners like these loggers come in, do the work for me, because there's a lot of other stuff that I'm doing at the same time that they're working on this. That's just extra funds. It's going to come in here, and I'm actually going to be establishing a few more roads that they don't need to make with their skid steer. I'm going to get the dozer in here, probably make a few little ponds, but really improve the property with the dozer after the fact. But that money goes right back into helping pay for that dozer work. So now, is the work done once the loggers are out? It's far from done at this point. I've already talked about that I'm going to come through and I'm going to do some prescribed burning. They are leaving trees in here that's not worth their time to cut out, and I don't blame them for not doing it because I'm not paying them to do it. But there's a lot of submissive trees in here, red oak, white oak, whether it be hickory, that I still need to get out to open up the canopy. Now, I've done it in this area. You can see some of these have snapped off in some of the storms, but I've come in and I've done a hack and spray in here. You can either come in, cut them at the base, and you can just leave them lay, let them regenerate, allow some growth there. You can cut them down and you can spray the stump and actually kill it, or you can come in and do a hack and spray, leave them standing and be dead so the sunlight still is allowed to come through. That way you don't get too much debris on your forest floor there for turkeys and stuff to walk through, or make too hot of a burn. So I'm gonna have to do that through literally almost, you know, probably close to 80 acres that they're going to be cutting here. So yeah, there is a lot of work still. So I'm going to do that pretty quick after they are out of here, because I want it to be a one and done kind of thing. We'll get this whole area done at one time. They cut, I come in and cut and hack and spray. And then after that, it's just following up with prescribed burns on a scheduled basis in this area to get it looking the way I want to as far as promoting the undergrowth here. This will probably be the last spot that I show you guys right here. And this is really close to my property line. You can see my property line right back here. I don't know if you can see the yellow post. That's the property line, and right here is a candy shop. It's not, but you know, 40, 50 yards from my fence line there. And this has always been open timber. He's falling trees right now as I'm talking, but this has always been pretty open through here. You could see all the way through from the other property owner's land all the way to the candy shop plot. And what we're doing is he's come in, he's thinned some of this out. I've done a lot of hack and spray in here. I'm gonna follow up with some hack and spray, and then it's gonna be a whole nother video, but we're gonna be planting switchgrass in this area of the food plot. So now, instead of being able to see from the landowner's property, which I have no problem with them right now, but if it ever sold and somebody else wanted to come in, they could literally sit there and, you know, watch deer on this side or hunt right off my fence line. But from there, instead of having where you can see into my food plot in 40 yards and have a clear line of sight and shoot if they wanted to, you now are going to be coming from the fence line to close to 80 yards plus before they can even start to see what's in the food plot. So this is all going to grow up with briars and saplings and grasses and forbs in this area, transition in to grasses and switchgrass and stuff up here in the top of the candy shop. And then we've got the food plot in the back side, which is going to be seen by nobody except the deer and turkey. So anyway, there is a lot going on. There's a lot of work to be done here. We've still got logging to do. He's probably can get a fair majority of the rest of this cut on the back 40 this week. Then it should dry out today enough that tomorrow he can start hauling trees out. And we've probably got somewhere around in the vicinity of about 3 loads right now at the loading site, and a lot more back here. Then he's going to move to the front of the property. We've got to get a dozer in here. I'm going to clean up some of these roads, build a couple of small ponds off these roads, have basically 100% of my property accessible with that dozer coming in and even dozing some of the, basically just the property lines, so I can watch my whole property. Allows me spots that the deer are going to come up these super steep hills and know that I can put a tree stand in it, and every deer that's going to walk up there is going to walk right up these roads that I'm making. So a lot of work going on. Then we still got to do prescribed burn. Then I've still got to do hack and spray. So I'm excited to show you guys all that. What we're doing here. I'm going to be producing a lot of content. I want to produce content that you guys want to see as well. So if you guys have any questions that I need to address on the videos, be sure to comment down below, give a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, because we've got turkey hunts, we've got a lot of management stuff coming out right now, and we'll keep cranking them out. And we've even got some fishing. So anything you guys want to see, let me know below. And guys, until next time, have a better than average day.